All right, so Clown World continues as far as your gun rights, and the next company on the chopping block that is just, it's taking shots by gun control groups is Ruger. And this is coming on the heels of what California and the gun control groups by Bloomberg, Everytown for Gun Safety, or as Everytown for Gun Control, and they are now presenting a series of lawsuits to hit Ruger. Now, for those of you not following this story and the big change with Glock in regards to their V series and removing all current G series Glock models off the market, with the exception of a handful that are their single stack magazines. This is a huge deal because it's a capitulation to what's happening in California. California is whitelisting Glock, as in whitelisting is reverse blacklist. Whitelist for California are a series of firearms that are allowed to be sold because they're deemed safe. And California and Everytown for Gun Control has now presented multiple lawsuits against Glock. And instead of actually fighting these lawsuits, Glock is going to capitulate and redesign their models. So that's the big to do with that. Now, why is this a big deal? Because this is giving a chink in the armor for these gun control groups to attack other ones using lawfare to try and destroy your rights. Ruger's next on the block. The big reason is that they developed a new model of handgun called the Ruger RXM. It's pretty decent. We reviewed it on the channel. Check it out. One of our earlier videos, our review of the RXM. We liked it. We had our own little issues with it. I didn't like the magazine release a whole lot, but it is modeled off of a Gen 3 Glock. Ergonomics are pretty good, and the lower, the frame of the firearm with its stipling is pretty decent, and that was actually made in conjunction with Magpul. So Magpul used their polymers and developed the lower for it, while Ruger is developing the entirety of the rest of it, the fire control group for the trigger assembly and the slide and all its components. Now, why is this the big deal? Well, the whitelisting of Glock and getting them and them getting sued is because of the advent of the Glock switches. These are tiny little mechanical devices that go into where your backplate is on a Glock and allows it to then be converted into full auto. The big issue with this is that full auto on these handguns, immediately as soon as you change that, you have now broken straight up federal law under the NFA. No go, naughty. Like, this is do not pass go. You go straight to jail. Okay. And the ATF, these are things that the ATF already actively cracks down. There's already laws on the books for this. But what are they doing? Because a few instances of gang violence have used these Glock switches, instead of going after the criminals, they're coming after the civilians. Because this is not going to stop the criminals. In fact, it's probably not going to stop a smart engineer. A lot of very, very clever and intelligent people with even out engineering degrees, just mechanically inclined, will probably find another way around this stuff, because that's what human beings do, right? So now, how does this pertain to Ruger and their RXM line? Well, the Ruger RXM, being based off the Glock Gen 3 models, can accept some aftermarket parts from Glock. And because of this, Everytown for Gun Safety is now attacking and going to take Ruger to court to try to say that they should have known better. And because that they're based on the Gen 3 Glock models, and those can accept Glock switches, therefore the RXM can accept Glock switches, and they are now pushing for full automatic handguns into the hands of criminals and the public, which couldn't be further from the truth. That's not how this system operates. Okay, criminals are doing this, and just to do it alone and put it on is already a federal crime. Okay. Now, personally, I think those laws should be completely removed. Heck, you used to be able to buy fully automatic firearms from Sears, man, from the Sears Robux catalog. A lot of people don't understand that. The NFA and what these laws pertain to is a holdover from Prohibition, and it's continued to limp on and been strengthened and weakened and back and forth ever since. And really, it's become a source of just tax revenue for the government is really what it's become. Of course, that's under major attack right now by the big, beautiful lawsuit being instituted, or rather, being filed in court by B&T, Silencer Co., Silencer Shop, and PSA, and I believe the Gun Owners of America. They might be on that one, might not, but I believe the FPC is with that one too. Yeah, if you know which ones it is, you can correct me absolutely if I'm wrong. Throw it down in the comments below and let me know if I got those companies right that are part of the big, beautiful lawsuit. Well, what they're attacking on the NFA is that because the tax is now being removed from tax stamps, as in the actual money you pay to get a suppressor or an SBR, that the tax no longer serves a purpose because the tax still remains even though you're not paying $200 anymore after the first of the year. So what does that mean? Well, this is a tax that levies no money, no revenue, and therefore is an illegal tax and is nothing but a regulation on the rights of Americans. And so that's the angle that these organizations are taking with the big, beautiful lawsuit. So already on the books, NFA, illegal to have a fully automatic weapon, right, in civilians' hands. And so criminals are already breaking that law. And so they're attacking Ruger, and they're also attacking shadow systems with this. We're mentioning Ruger because the Everytown for gun safety just came out with this letter here talking about this whole situation and going into it and attacking directly Ruger. And shadow systems is, some people are saying, have capitulated. I don't know how I feel about that yet, if they're really capitulated. Essentially what they're doing, instead of redeveloping their whole line, they're just going to take their already California compliant models and going to adjust them just a little further so they're still California compliant, while everybody else in the market will still have their regular shadow systems. And maybe Ruger can do the same. And I get what some people are saying that is a capitulation because you are changing that product and not fighting against the lawsuit. And it is a slight degradation to your gun rights. And over time, it's that little chipping away, like, oh yeah, but it's just California. We can just chip away at that. Let them have that. Let California be California. Okay. Well, they spread those laws, right? The people out of California they moved to other states. They then vote the same way. They got their state into a horrible situation, and then they spread like a virus and then ruin the rest of your laws for in other states as well. And, we're starting to see a lot of that in Minnesota right now. In fact, that's a big hot topic here in Minnesota, especially with gun control and the big push, especially after the first of the year when illegal immigrants with driver's license are allowed to vote in Minnesota, because that passed and the Minnesota election director actively stated that, yes, that is going to happen. So that's super fun. Anyways, I just wanted to cover what's happening with Ruger right now, that they are actively being attacked by Everytown for gun safety, and that, hey, if you want to be part of that solution, go join it or donate or knock on doors or answer phones for the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, the Firearms Policy Coalition, the Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America. Go be a part of the solution. So anyways, guys, thanks for sticking around. Remember, stay prepared, not scared. God bless and good night, everybody.